Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just got a quick video on my new FREEWING T33. So some of you have been asking how I did the speed brakes on it, and I have some short video clips to put together here to show you basically how I built them and how I hooked them up to a servo. So yeah, not too difficult, pretty simple. But yeah, excuse the mess. This garage is destroyed right now. But basically, there they go. Oh, there they are. That's them. They're out. Like I said, I'll show you the little video clips here in a second. It shows just how I made them. Pretty simple. So check it out. Okay, so the first mod I'm going to do, since the weather sucks too bad to go out and fly it anyways, is I'm going to make speed brakes. Now, the speed brakes on a T33 are pretty cool. There's two of them. Two small ones. Basically, this is going to be cut in half, and they just look neat when they're down, and it'll help slow it down a little bit. Not that I foresee a problem with that, but I like adding stuff like this. I like having extra functions on the models to spice them up a little bit. So, and when it comes to stuff like this, I like doing it as quickly and as easily as possible. There's a number of methods I could have done this. First one could have been like putting tape down and doing like a fiberglass layup over this area to make speed brakes. I could have made them out of Depron, I guess. There's all kinds of different ways, but this is probably the easier way that I could think of, at least for me. So I have that fiberglass sheet that I laid up for my Tomcat belly pan. It's just one layer of glass that I laid up on a flat metal sheet, so it's perfectly flat. And what I've done here is I'm going to use that as my outer skin. And what I've done here is this is a piece of 16th inch balsa that I've double-sided taped to the area where the speed brakes are going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this fiberglass sheet to the wood. And what that's essentially going to do is make a formed piece that matches this shape perfectly. And it'll have a smooth outside surface for painting. Or in my case, I might just use metal tape. Yeah, I'll pop that off, I'll cut it in half, trim everything real nice, and then I'll have my actual speed brakes, and then I'll go in the process of hinging them and hooking them up to a servo and all that stuff. So let's get this glued on and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've just used some super glue to go ahead and bond this sheet on. It's curing right now, and then we'll pop this part off and I'll trim it all up and split it in half. And I'll have my two speed brakes, and that took me like 10 minutes. So pretty easy. Okay, so now I have my two speed brakes. You can see that they held the shape. So now they work like this. So now my next step is to clearance the foam in this area. See where I've drawn it out. I've done 3 inches deep and right next to this body crease. So now I clearance this out, so I got room for the doors to fit flush. And I think I'm going to cut it away with a long blade, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so now what I've done is I've used a long blade to cut out this belly pan area. One thing I suggest doing is when you do it, to cut down around your edges first and then cut like a angle out of it just to expose the edges. That way you're not just hacking away and then you cut too far. So you kind of like cut wedges out of the edges first, and then you can come in and shape out the center part of it. Turned out pretty good. Here's my speed brakes. Oops. So right now I have them taped together. That way they remain the proper location. And I've put a couple of Dubro hinges on here. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here next. Okay, so what I've done here is I've set the speed brakes in, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the hinges to the wood with it all taped in place and everything. That way when I pull the tape off, the hinges will be perfectly aligned and glued together to that wood brace there, so that way I don't get any weird fitment issues. Like if I were to just have tried to glue these on one at a time, they probably wouldn't have fit very well, considering all the angles and things that are going on in here. So let me get these glued on and I'll show you where. Okay, so here we see the hinges not glued in, tapes removed. Hate to tell you guys, but I skipped a few steps on you. I got caught up and forgot to take videos, but they work pretty good. I'll show you how they work here in a second. So what I did was I made a couple of small fiberglass control horns, essentially. Used a piece of the servo wire grabber push rod thing that comes with the kit. It's actually one of my old ones. Let me close these up, flip it over. So what I've done here is this is a FREEWING 17 gram metal gear with like a quick connect servo thing on it. And then yeah, it works pretty easy. So as you'll see, when they're in the fold down position, the angle of the arm matches the angle of the push rod. That means that the servo won't be carrying any of the load that comes from the dynamic forces on the speed brakes. There will be pressure on it, but it won't be, the motor or the servo won't be handling any of that load, because basically it's just pushing on the arm and not trying to rotate the arm, if that makes any sense. So I got a little bit of fine tuning to do here still, but they work pretty good. Had to make some little balsa wood stoppers in the back. I'll just adjust this a little bit. That way the corners would sit nice and flush. See those little balsa wood pieces in there. So when this is all done, I'll go in and I'll paint all this like interior green, and then I'll paint the outside silver, metal tape or something. I might even make some like plastic like detail pieces that go on the backside here for scale effect, but we'll see. So anyways, that's the speed brake mod. Wasn't too bad, took me a couple hours, so